Now lastly, these are putting it all together, what you had done last time and what you're doing today. So for solving factoring completely, you first want to see if there's a greatest common factor. And then you want to try to unfoil. It's just easier that way. So remember what we were doing before. If you had n squared and 3n, do they have anything in common? Hopefully you're noticing they have an n. And just like we did before, we put the greatest common factor out front. And then we told what's left. If we divide out an n out of n squared, we're left with an n. And if we divide out of an n out of 3n, we're left with minus 3. Now, just like what we were doing before, I want you to treat these as two different factors. So put a little line down the middle, the finishing line, and set each one equal to 0. And solve them. So you're kind of treating this as its own little factor over here. N equals 0 is a valid number. The other one we have to do a little bit of work for. There's two possible answers for this. Remember, n squared means there's two possible answers. Now you have to check each one. If you check 0, 0 squared minus 3 times 0, 0 minus 0, 0 checks. 3 squared minus 3 times 3 equals 0. 9 minus 9, that checks as well. For this one, same type of thing. First, greatest common factor. 4 and 16 have something in common. They have a 4. So I'm going to take the 4 out front, and what's going to be left is n squared minus, and remember, you're dividing out a 4 out of 16, and you're left with a 4. Now look in that parentheses of what's left. We actually could unfoil this as well. I'm going to carry down the 4, and I'm going to put 2 parentheses. How do you make n squared? N and n. How do you make 4? 1 times 4, or 2 times 2. And remember, there's no number in the middle there. There's 0, n in the middle. So we need the numbers to add or subtract to get 0. They must be the same numbers because they got to add or subtract to get 0. With the negative 4, that means the signs have to be different. So that when you multiply them, you'd get a negative 4. Now the same thing goes as all of these. 4 equals 0. Does that make sense? No. It made sense when we had n equals 0, but 4 equals 0, we're not going to even bother with it. We're just going to work on n plus 2 equals 0, n minus 2 equals 0. And keep in mind, this one was an n squared in the beginning. So there really only should be 2 answers. They might not be different answers, but they should be 2 answers. Turns out they are different. So the 4 really doesn't have anything to do with the final answer. Now to check it, 4 times negative 2 squared minus 16. 4 times negative 2 squared is 4. 16, take away 16. That one checks. Right below it, I'm going to try the other one, 2. 4 times 4. That checks, 2. So let's look at something else. Okay. Same type of thing. First, do they have anything in common? 3, 9, 6 all have a 3 in common. If I take out a 3 out of 3n squared, I'm left with n squared. If I divide out a 3 out of 9n, I'm left with 3n. And divide out a 3 out of 6, and I'm left with a 2. Now that's still something that I can unfoil. So 2 parentheses. To make n squared, I need n and n. To make 2, 1 times 2. I have no other option, so it's got to be 1 times 2. This sign at the end is a plus 2, so they got to be either plus plus or minus minus. And they got to make a positive 3n, so they have to be plus plus. Can 3 equal 0? No. And there should only be 2 answers for this anyways. -1 and -2. Now to check it, there's going to be a little bit of work involved. Always check in the original. -1 squared is plain old 1. 3 times 1 is 3. 9 times -1 is -9 plus 6. -6 plus 6 equals 0. And I'm going to try with -2. -2 squared is 4. Minus 18 plus 6. 12 minus 18 plus 6 is -6 plus 6. That checks also. And last but not least, same type of thing. Do they have anything in common? N cubed and 9n have an n in common. So I'm left with n squared minus 9. Again, that's something that you can unfoil. To make n squared, it's n times n. And to make 9, it's 1 and 9 and 3 and 3. Notice all these ones with a 0 in the middle, or nothing n in the middle, are going to need numbers that are exactly the same because they subtract to get 0. The signs have to be plus minus, and it doesn't matter which one I give. Now be careful. I've got an n cubed here. That means I could have 3 different answers. I know with those numbers I was like crossing them out, but n could equal 0. In each one of these, I put equal to 0. N could also equal -3. N equals +3. And then we got to check 3 different things. 0 cubed minus 9 times 0. 0 minus 0. That works. -3 cubed minus 9 times -3. -3 cubed is negative times a negative times a negative. The answer is negative. 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. -9 times -3 is plus 27. And that one checks. And last but not least, I'm going to try to squeeze in 3 cubed minus 9 times 3. 27 minus 27 equals 0. That one checks.